Hello, search here for the backyard driving range. All right, we have a question came into customer service today from James Madonna. And James says, I hit my driver good, but when I try to hit the irons, it just does not work. I know it's the same swing as the wood, but I dig in the ground. I think I'm coming over the top because I am trying to hit the ball hard. I get confused with where the ball should be in your stance. Should it be in the middle of your stance and just move to the shaft move the shaft of the club? Thanks, Jim Madonna. Okay, so we got a few issues going on right here, folks. Number one, I think Jim gave us a really good idea of what his problem is when he says when he hits the irons, he's trying to hit the ball hard. So right off the bat, that's telling me that we got a case of very likely moving ahead of the ball. And then he's got a question about what happens with the ball position when he goes from the woods to the irons. So I think we need to discuss a few things here. All right. So let's get the alignment arrows out. I'm going to use my arrow for the arrow, and then I'm going to use this as the ball position line. But because we're doing this in terms of the ball position being the issue we want to talk about, I'm going to have to aim this thing with the I'll aim these lines at the net because I want to keep the ball position line in line with the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. Basically, we kind of say, and I'll just use my 7-iron for everything else. If the ball is right here on this line, and the club is right there, we always want to have the shaft slightly ahead. And I'm starting with the shaft because Jim came out here and said something about you just put the shaft ahead, and middle stance and just move the shaft of the club. The ball has to move. So I believe we play the wedges through the 7-iron on normal shots in the middle of the stance. Okay. So now when I walk in, I always walk in and I get the club in my hand here, and because our hands are pointed inward to the point like this, and we always want the club somewhat pointing at the left hip. So when I walk in, I always when I get ready, I always put the club up and I turn it towards my left hip, and my left hand slides up and just grips it, and then I go down from there. All right. So I always like to feel that from my visualization, the V of my right hand, which would be the left hand for a left hand, or the bottom hand, is always somewhere in a dead straight line to the ball. Okay? So if my ball would be right here in the center of that stick, and I'm here, that V would be somewhere coming in a straight line straight up here and resting right on that V right there. All right? And from my vision right now, that I can see about that much of a sliver of the mat between the outside edge of the white line and there for this. Now, if the club stays there and I start going, and now we always measure width of the stance by the heels, not the toes, because we have flared feet, and I actually flare the left one a lot more than the right one. So you're always going by the heels. Because see, if I'm standing here, say I'm going to hit a driver right now, and I'm up here like this, all right, and folks who keep the feet square, meaning at right angles to your aiming line, they would be here. Well, if I had flare feet like this, and I kept it out there somewhere in the instep, look at how far forward it is. Look at how this angle is way back here. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start and try to, and always, sometimes I have to lift you, if you're wearing long slacks like I do, long legs, long pants, you have to look down to see at the ankles, okay? So we just move a little bit this way. And so we play the wedges through the 7 in the middle, and then we gradually move the ball forward until it is about the left heel with the driver. All right, because if we get it on the left heel, see where it is now? The hands are still slightly ahead, and the shaft has straight to a slightly forward left lean here. All right, with my left arm in line right there, you see? I'm just using this as a reference to where my ball, the line straight from the ball coming back is. All right, so if I had this, then, and I was in here, you see my hands are now behind the ball, as you can see by the angle of the stick here. So we'd be about here. So here for a 7-iron, and then it gradually goes 6, 5, 7-iron through wedges, then it gradually goes 6, 5, 4. Most of you don't have anything past the 4, and then you get into your hybrids, and then you get into your 3-wood and your driver. And as you can see, this shaft is staying pretty much pointing at my left hip. All right, so that's how that works. Let's get back to the other question that James Madonna asked, and that is, he digs into the ground and he thinks he's coming over the top because I'm trying to hit the ball hard. Now, as you know, the one big premise that I teach is I believe that we need to swing up to the tee finish. The peak performance swing is the one swing, pretty much about the only swing, where if you do it correctly in the proper setup and make the proper swing, we will be behind the ball at impact. So even if my ball is right there, we're going to come in, both arms will straighten up, and we'll be behind the ball. Now, most of the world's playing golf where they start in preloaded heavy left. They're on this side. They don't call it, but they kind of call it that you're trapped, that you're covering the ball and you're staying on top of the ball, and then you hit it and your right shoulder comes down and through in there. So that's kind of covering it. I've also thought that years ago when I finally added the fourth secret, our rule after you learn it, which states that we swing up to the tee finish, I found that, and most of you, if you stand up right now, even without a golf club, if you stand up there and you put your hands up in the air, anywhere up in here, and you say to yourself, and especially if you're back in here, you say, I just want to hit down on the ball, period. Just hit down on the ball tends to trigger the upper body. And that's it'll really trigger it if you're deep, because now you got to get the club from being in the sacred barrel ground in front of you and down. And I really think that anything to do with hitting down, staying down, and trying to hit the ball hard is going to trigger the upper body of your head, and you're going to come down steep. The only thing is, swinging up is going to help keep us back, gets the bump going, you stay back just like skipping a rock in a lake. Just like the pitcher throwing a ball, he stays here and he gets that spine angle tilt this way, and then boom. Same thing with the tennis server. They throw the ball up, they go back, and then they go get it. And all their weight is going from the back side to the right side. So we stop preloaded heavy right. That way we just lift the arms in, and then we just swing straight through to the finish. All right. So most of these people are these swings today just that are setting up to hit down on the ball and or stay on top of the ball or covered, as they say. They're starting left. They're going to stay left when they swing, and they're going to hit down. And then they're going to have to try to come up, and that's why you see a lot of cases they don't get the good finishes, or they're falling out of the shots. All right. So I think just the fact of hitting down is telling me that he's in a bad position at impact, so he's got to try to hit it hard because he's ahead of it. And if you're past something, it's like trying to throw a punch to somebody. If you're past them, you're punching them this way. You got to get back and then lean in and punch. So you got to lean into it from behind it, right? You got to load and go. And that's the same thing with throwing, skipping a rock on a lake. Anything powerful that you're swinging has to be, you have to be just transfer weight in there. Well, if you're already in front of the ball and you wait to the forward leg, the only thing left is to try to beat down on it hard. And so I think his James's statement about he has to hit the ball hard is living proof that he's probably playing in front of the ball. It means he started there in front, he's swinging there in front, and if he did stop preloaded heavy right and tried to hit it, the fact that he's trying to hit it hard, he's moving forward and getting slightly ahead of the ball, and he's out of position and on top of the ball, and that's his steep angle of attack. So we need to get back preloaded heavy right and swing up to the finish and get the proper ball position that we discussed in the beginning. Okay, how the ball moves in our stance. Wedges through 7-9 in the middle to the left heel, and it's no more than the left heel because we flare our feet. Okay? Well, hopefully this answers all those questions, and that's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.